is the Listen Up Future Nurse podcast, and you're listening to Episode 7, Back to School, Choosing a Nursing Program Amid Closures and Challenges. Join me, Nurse Fallon, in this insightful episode as we explore how you, pre-nursing students, can identify stable and accredited nursing schools, avoid potential closures, and navigate the evolving landscape of nursing education. I'm going to share with you expert tips on researching accreditation, understanding state board approvals, and choosing the right program to kickstart a successful nursing career. Tune in to equip yourself with essential knowledge for a confident start in nursing school.
You're listening to an episode of Listen Up Future Nurse podcast. Scan the QR code if you're watching, or click the link in the podcast show notes to get your virtual remote. Make sure to tune in and subscribe on Spreaker and follow us on all your favorite podcast locations. And watch us live online on all of your favorite social media sites.
No login, no problem. No matter if social media isn't your thing or you're taking a break, you can listen in right on our website. Save your data and this episode by downloading it from our website, NursingInspired.com/podcast. So if you have to take a pause, you don't lose your place where you were listening or your battery power. That'll also help our podcast rankings rise to the top.
This podcast is hosted by Fallon M. Flowers.
Did you know you can apply to over 50 historically black colleges and universities at the same time for only $20? You can with the Common Black College application. Hello, my name is Robert Mason. I'm the founder of the CBCA. Students around the world have completed the application and received multiple acceptance letters, financial aid packages, and scholarship offers. So visit our website at commonblackcollegeapp.com to apply now. And don't forget to pick up the book, Get Educated, the man behind the Common Black College application. Thank you, and get educated.
Fallon M. Flowers, the Black Pre-Nursing Coach and board-certified women's health nurse practitioner serving patients in obstetrics and gynecology on the south side of Chicago. Fallon has made many contributions in her area of practice, including preceptor, instructor, and journal peer reviewer. She is known for her advocacy and speaking on women's health topics for the last 20 years, including to the youth. Fallon has been recognized for her mentorship since 2015 in her efforts to combat the nursing workforce shortage by serving as an instructor and academic coach to college-bound youth and non-traditional adult students. She has spoken to youth as young as 10 years old about nursing and frequently speaks for high schools and youth groups about nursing careers both globally and locally. Fallon was the host of 2 television specials, Pre-Nursing in Color and Suits and Scrubs, The Black Men of Nursing. She was a dedicated host in her Clubhouse forum, Student Support Sunday for Black pre-nursing students. Recognized as a nursing leader, Fallon has received several awards, grants, and scholarships from national and state-level organizations. She's also been inducted into the International Honor Society of Nursing, Sigma Theta Tau. She has accepted several keynote speaker invitations and is frequently requested to contribute on advisory, nonprofit, and executive boards. As a flourishing entrepreneur, Fallon is the founder and CEO of NursingInspired LLC, with her online school and one-to-one coaching. She encourages her fellow business owners in various capacities and her fellow nurses and nurse practitioners how they can become entrepreneurs too. Fallon M. Flowers, entrepreneur, speaker, and pre-nursing career coach.
Good evening, everyone. We are live. I am not only today's host, but I'm also today's guest. And so today I want to talk to you all about nursing programs, how to choose them, all of the closures that's been happening that we've seen in the landscape, and also the challenges as well. So there's just been a lot going on with closures recently. So I'm not sure about the rest of you all, but I definitely want to get into this. And so We are all here because we want to gain essential knowledge for, how to have a confident start in nursing school. Maybe you know someone that's going to nursing school or planning to go to nursing school, and then, trying to look at how to find the right program to kickstart that successful nursing career that, that's being dreamed about. So, for some of you may be looking at, your colleges right now. You might be in high school, for instance, sophomore, junior, senior. Maybe you're already even an adult going back to school. So for some people, you may be looking at, do I want to go to a school that's on campus? Do I want to, go online? Do I want to look at public schools versus private schools? Some may be looking at things such as predominantly white institutions or PWIs versus historically Black colleges and universities or HBCUs. And in addition to that, that's just the college part of things, right? But we also have to look at the nursing program part of things. And so, with nursing, a lot of you may already be aware that there is a national nursing shortage. A lot of this comes from a lot of nurses have either retired or retiring. Some are burned out, especially at the height of the COVID pandemic. And this is not just the older, more seasoned nurses. This also includes even newer nurses who've only been just a year in, for instance. So not only have we seen a lot of retirement and burnout, but hospitals have actually been closing or entirely, or they're closing down their units. There's even nursing homes that are actually been closing down as well. And it's gotten to the point where some health systems and organizations are now starting to do things such as recruit nurses from the Philippines to help out with this nursing shortage, because either there are not enough nurses here or they're not choosing to select from the nursing pool that we have, especially when we're also looking at the surgence and the fluctuations with travel nursing, at this current time. And so one of the other great contributions that, in addition to all of these things with the retirement and shortages and all of that, is the nursing education pipeline. So beyond the many nursing educators who have also retired, there's not only a lot of academic barriers just in itself to become a nurse educator, but there's also a lack in adequate pay too, that nurse educators most definitely deserve. And so this affects both the classroom and the clinical setting, in that, if there's shortages in nurse educators, that means that's less seats for nursing students to actually fill. So with that, there's actually some nursing programs that may have 1 to 2 year waiting list that some students have to wait on just to get into their dream or their top school. And this is even for students that are considered qualified applicants. And actually, did you all know that there's actually tens of thousands of qualified applicants that are turned away from nursing programs every year? I actually want to, if I can, share with you a chart, if I can find, that I had that I wanted to share with you all. That here, yeah. And so I have this here that I want to share with you all that shows, and this is for the folks that are watching, but for my listeners, I'll make sure that I include this link as well so that you can see. But I want you all to see this here, and this is on the website, the American Association of Colleges of Nursing, or AACN, sometimes is affectionately called. So this is a chart here, just looking at the last 21 years really now of qualified applicants that have been turned away from entry-level baccalaureate or BSN programs that we know. BSN is Bachelor of Science in Nursing. At the highest in 2021, 76,140 nursing school applicants were turned away. Now, this started to go down to 66,000 in 2022 and then lower to 55,000, but still 55,000 qualified applicants being turned away from nursing programs when we have such great shortages out here is just really baffling because we need more nurses. And if they're closing down nursing homes where a lot of our most vulnerable people who are, differently abled, or disabled, we have older adults, folks with dementia, and then you have just hospitals. What about rural areas that need nurses? And these hospitals are closing down, or they're closing down whole units. There's actually some hospitals specifically that are closing down a lot of labor and delivery units. So imagine your hospital in your rural area closing down the labor and delivery unit. And this is already a hospital that takes 30, 45 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, or even 2 hours to get to. So the nursing shortage is real. It's so terribly important that we all pay attention to this. I don't care if you are a nurse, aspire, everyday citizen. This really affects us all in our own healthcare, because if I get sick, there's only so much I can do for myself. If I have a true emergency, I'm going to go to an emergency room. And if I go to that local hospital that I thought was still open and it's closed, what's going to happen? You can imagine all the things that can be happening right now in today's society when it comes to healthcare, not only in rural areas, but urban areas, especially that are, in predominant areas with minorities, for instance, who are really suffering a lot of the, social determinants of health and issues with their healthcare, and have some of the highest disparities when it comes to health challenges, that we see out here. And so this is why I want to talk about the importance of how to choose a nursing program, because this is so important. So, for those of you that follow the news, you may have seen in your local news, for instance, where you've seen nursing programs that have closed, colleges that have closed, and some of those colleges may have included nursing programs. So for us here in Chicago and in Illinois, there's been at least 2. So I want to share again my screen here, and again, I'll place this link in the bio, or in the show notes rather, for all my folks out there who are listening on the podcast places that we listen to podcasts. And so, for instance, here it is. This was the first one just of this year that I'm aware of, and that is Oak Point University. And this was in Oak Brook, Illinois. And this, it suddenly shut down and it closed in April. And so this was one. Now, when we look at the other one, Northwestern College in Oak Lawn, Illinois, abruptly closed down. And this school has been open for 122 years, with a previous name and history and all of that. But still, these 2 closed down just within the last 7 months. We're right now, the last day of July, we're looking at back to school time, and people are starting to get, back on focus, back on mode, which is understandable because now summertime is starting to, wind down a little bit, and we are starting to think about back to school time. That's what everybody is kind of trained to for August, is being back to school time. And so with that, I really wanted to make sure that we look at how students can really know, parents, students, advisors, family members, friends, just spread the word and share this podcast episode wherever you watch or listen. So I want to start off by talking about a couple of terms or phrases that some of you may or may not have heard of when it comes to looking at colleges, universities, and nursing programs. And so that first term is called accreditation. So in the United States, colleges and universities in themselves are accredited, by one of several, accrediting organizations out there. And I probably didn't say that right. Accrediting organizations, excuse me. Now, accreditation for the college and university is different than the accreditation from the nursing program. I'm going to say that again. The accreditation for the college or university is different and separate from that of the nursing program. So nursing programs will have their own separate accreditation or additional accreditation, if you will, because if they have accreditation by a nursing body and then there's also accreditation for the university, they'll have the 2. But I just want you all to be aware of that. So let's talk about what accreditation is. So accreditation is really a voluntary process, and this is done by independent accrediting agencies. So for nursing specifically, because I'm not going to get into the college piece, and how colleges and universities are accredited, because there's so many of those. But when we're looking at nursing programs specifically, there is the CCNE, which is the Commission on Collegiate Nursing Education. And then there's also the ACEN or ACEN, whatever way you want to call it, but that's the Accreditation Commission for Education in Nursing. So these two accrediting bodies, they really want to make sure that your nursing program that has one of these accreditations is nationally recognized for its quality of and rigor in their nursing education that they're providing. And the focus really is to just evaluate the overall quality of the nursing program, looking at the curriculum, looking at the faculty and their qualifications, their resources, and then, of course, most importantly, student outcomes. And then so with that, some programs for their accreditation, they are reapplying or they're on probation even from their accreditation, sometimes from either one of these. So how do you check? So just kind of quickly, I'll say you want to check the accrediting agency's website, which I definitely want to make sure to show some of you all that are watching. And these websites actually do have a way for you to search. But besides that, I really want you to make sure before you get into all of that, because likely before you know or think anything about going straight to an accrediting body website, you're likely going to visit the school's website, right? So I want you to visit the school's website, look at the nursing program website specifically. I want you to attend a information session. It's also important to talk to an admissions counselor, for instance, if you can, and visit them prior to you even applying, just to kind of, get a better idea of how you're looking as an applicant. Because again, before I told you all that, qualified applicants are being turned away every year. And although on that site that I showed you all, it had a chart that showed just BSN, it's not that just BSN or Bachelor of Science in Nursing programs are turning away qualified applicants. This is all programs. LPN, associate degree nursing, bachelor's, master's, but at least for the entry level folks, when we're looking at that, qualified applicants are still being turned away. So you definitely want to make sure that you're doing what you have to do when it comes to that. But back to this whole accreditation piece, ACEN and CCNE, those are the two I want you to look for. Now, this is separate from what's called approval. So approval is another thing. So at the very least, your nursing program should be accredited by its state board. So state board approval is granted to, nursing programs through the nursing state regulatory body. So for us here in Illinois, our accrediting body is the IDFPR. So that's the, forgive me if I'm tearing this up, Illinois Division of Federal and Professional Regulation. This really ensures that the nursing program meets at least the minimum requirements that have been set by the state to make sure that you're just preparing, they are preparing students, for the nursing profession. So the purpose of being approved nursing program is to just make sure that student graduates are eligible to take the NCLEX RN or the NCLEX PN, which are required for nurse licensure in the state, because you can't just graduate from a nursing program and become a nurse. You have to not only graduate, but you have to take the appropriate NCLEX exam, which is an exam that will then grant you licensure upon passing. Now, the focus of being approved nursing program really is just making sure that these nursing programs are within compliance with state-specific educational standards and regulations. And then, as far as how to check, really the best way to do that is to check the website for your specific state board of nursing where the school is located. And you can look for in a list, approved list of nursing programs right there, or you can contact the state board directly. Of course, the school, if it can, it really should say that they are approved by that particular state too. So a lot of times Some schools will actually show that they are approved by the state, one, and then separately they may also list that they're accredited by a specific nursing organization, and then they may also put on the website that they are accredited by a certain accrediting body for the university as well. So with all of that, I want to go to a quick commercial break, and then we can come on back, and then I want to show you all what this looks like, and then I'll drop the links in the comments for you all as well that are watching.
Attention business owners, are you ready to tap into the fast-growing market of the nursing community? Partner with us to showcase your products or services to this dedicated audience. Nursing programs, especially at HBCUs, educational programs like CNA, phlebotomy, and CPR, healthcare staffing agencies, and businesses focused on self-care and mental health support. If you're a business focused on providing solutions for the nursing inspired, our platform provides a unique opportunity to especially connect with future nurses eager to invest in their education and career. You could be next for a sponsorship advertising opportunity on the Listen Up Future Nurse podcast. Contact us at info@NursingInspired.com to learn more about advertising opportunities today.
Years ago, the Power of We Symposium was created to provide a platform for kids from all sectors where they could have a safe and comfortable environment in which to share both their joys and concerns. The Power of We Symposium is proud to have served over 250 kids throughout Romania when we took our mission global back in May of 2023. Now, 2 teams of amazing volunteers from both the U.S. and Romania embarked on an 8-day Legacy of Hope tour, bringing encouragement and hope to not only the kids of Romania, but also the adults who support them, and also to over 100 kids here in the U.S. who contributed handwritten letters of hope to our Romania mission of 2023. Now, this year, we are proud to provide this opportunity yet again in October, and we are super excited to up our game. New venue, 750 kids this time, and we want to see you there. We're looking forward to meeting you in person at this year's event, which promises, as always, incredible speakers, amazing content, and of course, some of the greatest kids on the planet. So, mark your calendars for October 24th, and we'll see you here in Chicagoland for the Power of We Symposium 2024. This year's theme is Always Together, Never Alone. Tickets are available now on Eventbrite or at powerofwesymposium.com.
All right, so we are back. So far we have been talking all about different types of colleges and universities that you might be looking at, and then the different things that you want to do as far as noticing the difference between accreditation versus approval for nursing programs. And so that's some of the stuff we were talking about so far. And so if you're just tuning in, you can actually listen to the replay, and I'll make sure that the link for the virtual remote is there so that you can watch the replay, no matter if that's Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. Instagram, unfortunately, you all are not able to watch the replay on Instagram or IG. However, you can watch it on the other places. Otherwise, if you want to listen again, you can listen to the replay on Spreaker and iHeartRadio, my Nursing Inspired website, Amazon, Alexa, and all of those places. And so now I wanted to, I said before the break, show you all what I meant about accreditation and approval and looking these things up. So let's get to that, okay? So I'm gonna share my screen, and I'm sorry, listeners, I'm so sorry. So I wanted to show you all here. So Northwestern College, this is the one that I was just showing you all that just closed down, from the, and they shut down suddenly as of the July 7th news and everything. So they just kind of shut down on the July 6th, actually. So, but Northwestern College website, still up, talks about their nursing program. But what I wanted to do was scroll all the way down to the bottom here. So they laid their stuff out pretty plainly, or they laid it out because they're now closed. But they talked about how their college in itself on probation. So they said it. They made it plain, but a lot of people don't think about what this means or realize what this means. But on probation means in trouble, pretty much, or kind of like yellow light, if you will. So this may turn to a red light. So on probation by the Higher Learning Commission. So this is what the college itself, how they were accredited by the Higher Learning Commission, but they were on probation themselves. Secondly, the other thing that I'll say is as far as their approval. So their associate degree program of nursing was approved by the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation, or IDFPR, which I mentioned. A part of the Illinois State Board of Nursing. So every state has their own State Board of Nursing. It also mentioned that the program on it in itself was also on probation because of the first time pass rate for the NCLEX examination, which we call NCLEX for short. So, and then they thirdly mentioned that the nursing program was in the process of seeking ACEN accreditation. Of course, they could no longer do that, of course, since the college not only closed, but the nursing program closed as well. Now, with this, I will say separately, I don't know if it's where it is on this site, but I did see it somewhere within the last couple of months, how they were directing students to other places that they could transfer to. However, when you're talking about transferring nursing programs, you really need to know if the school had regional accreditation versus national accreditation. So that makes the difference. So depending on, which one it is, you may or may not be able to transfer any of those nursing credits if your program shuts down, and then you'll have to start over. And then I wanted to give a lesson learned on my own behalf, actually. So way back when I first entered nursing school, my school at the time, Olive Harvey College, was approved by the state of Illinois. A few weeks to, I think it was a few weeks, I don't think it was a few days, a few weeks before the second year was supposed to start, and this was a community college, the program got shut down. And we were, essentially told it was at first because of NCLEX pass rates. However, we knew that was a lie. I was just thinking of Jerry Springer for a second, how they say the lie detector determined that was a lie. Yeah, that was a lie. The nursing class before us had a high 90 something pass rate. So it wasn't that. Then they tried to say, oh, it's because the program wasn't accredited. So I think at the time I didn't realize the difference between accreditation and approval. Now I know, but I knew that the school was approved. So I just couldn't understand that. And a lot of us couldn't understand that. And through our research, we just, I guess, never really came to what that was. But either way, the decision was made, and they weren't going back on it. And so they split up our class in between two different sister colleges. And some of us went to Daly College, and then the others went to Malcolm X College. And unfortunately, only about 60% of my class that was split up even graduated with the split, and all of the financial aid and the teachers and all of the things that went with that. So I'm glad that I went to a nursing program, at least in that life lesson, that had sister schools for me to go to. But what about, people who attend a nursing program, a school at a nursing program that doesn't have sister schools, for instance? So I just wanted to share that with you all. Now back to what we were talking about with how to share. Oh, before I go into that, I'm sorry, back to my story. So with my story, the accreditation at the time that they were seeking or talking about was the National League of Nursing, or NLN. It used to be the NLNAC. But because we didn't have that accreditation, they decided to close the program. So, essentially, there was a bigger plan in mind where they wanted to centralize all of the nursing and healthcare related programs at one school, and then all the technological stuff, all of the transportation stuff. Each of the sister schools all wound up having their own focuses at each of the schools and everything. Although you can take prereqs at any of them, when it comes to the focuses for the major, you went to a specific school at that point in time. So that was the plan behind the scenes, but they used the accreditation piece as a part of the reason why the program closed. Now, when we're talking about searching, so I'll start off with the accreditation piece. Well, yeah. And so this is the ACEN website here. So ACENnursing.org, which you can go to, and they'll tell you all about, why ACEN accreditation matters and what it is. And then after you click on search programs, it'll take you to this, where you can actually go to the website where you can actually look for the program type you're looking for. So that's, practical nursing all the way up to doctorate level. And then you can also look by state, and you can also look by a status, depending on if the school is actually accredited or if they're actually a candidate for accreditation. So check this one out. Okay, so that's the ACEN website. And then the other one is the CCNE, which we talked about. And so when you click on where it says Accredited Programs Directory, that'll take you here. And for the CCNE, you can then look at per state what, class programs you're looking at. And then you can also look, again, by category of what types of nursing programs that you're looking for that are CCNE. As far as that's accreditation, right? So now I want to talk about approval, because accreditation is again one of those voluntary things that nursing programs can have. They don't have to, but it just puts a little bit more pressure on, if you will, when it comes to quality of education and rigor and all of those things. Now, when we're looking at approval, we want to look at your State Board of Nursing website. So the NCSBN, and that is the National Council of State Boards of Nursing. These are the people who actually administer, the NCLEX exam. So when you go to the website, you can find your particular state, here and everything. And I can, again, put this all in the show notes in the comments. You can find your particular state. So for me, I wound up clicking on, this is the same one. So I wound up going to Illinois, and for Illinois, it shows here the IDFPR, the nursing unit. It's got the phone number, mailing address, all of that type of stuff, so that I can get in contact with my particular State Board of Nursing as a student or a potential nurse who wants to look at programs. But it actually gets a little bit better there. So on the website now, it takes a little bit longer to navigate through what I'm going to show you all. But what I want to show you is this here. So on our website for Illinois, this is a data sheet, if you will, that talks about the NCLEX pass rate for the last few years for all of the approved nursing programs in the state of Illinois. So when we were talking about looking at programs that are at risk of closure or not, if they don't have a good NCLEX pass rate, like they talked about on Northwestern's website, they were on probation, then there's that risk of closing. So currently, the NCLEX pass rate, for first-time passers, generally, has floated around 85, 86, 87%. So those are programs that have one of the higher likelihoods of their students passing, because we talked about student outcomes. And a part of that outcome is not just about staying in that nursing program, but you also want to graduate from the nursing program, and lastly, be able to pass the NCLEX exam so that you can actually work as a nurse. So here in the state of Illinois, just to show you all what this looks like. So you got columns 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 23. So we got a nice little spread of years that we can look at for trends. So this school, let me see, Northwestern and Oak Point. So these are master's level. So let's look at, let's see, bachelor's level. So when we look at Oak Point, for instance, Oak Point. So this here, this third column, I'm sorry, so is the percentage. So you got the amount of students, you got the amount that passed, and then the percentage. So for Oak Point, for instance, the one that closed, 381 students took it, 265 passed, 70% pass rate. It increased to 74, but then it went down to 62, then it went back up to 70, then it got to 81%. So that's what they've been looking like over the past few years as far as their students passing the NCLEX, right? And then Northwestern, right? So that's an associate degree program. So they should also be on this list as having being somebody who was on the approved list, but on probation, like they mentioned. So let's see here. So for them, 56%, 58%, 51%, 34%, and then lastly, 45%. So when we're thinking about our return on investment for our time, our money, our education, our sacrifices, would you want to attend a school that less than 50% pass the NCLEX? And it's not just about the school preparing you or not. The scary and challenging thing about all of this is, and I'm going to stop sharing, is that it's not just about, because, although the school may or may not do the best job in preparing you for the NCLEX, and yes, you can self-study and do all of the things after graduation to prepare you the best as possible to still pass the NCLEX independently on your own, the school can still be at risk of closing. So then when you need your transcripts, when you're trying to apply to a job, when you're trying to apply for the NCLEX, sometimes there's challenges with that, or goodness forbid, again, if you're in the middle of your nursing program and you had no idea that these numbers and data exist, you didn't look at the bottom of the website or somewhere on their website to see this, you didn't attend an information session, and you had no idea. Now you've turned all those other nursing programs down and put your financial aid into it, took out nothing left. And so this is why I want to talk about knowing the difference between accreditation and approval, and how to look up if the schools are accredited by one of those two accrediting bodies, and then also looking at NCLEX pass rates. So that's something I really wanted to make sure to talk about. And so I want to go to a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back momentarily.
Do you remember that day you were sitting in high school and one of your instructors started talking about, it's time to start preparing your mind for college, thinking about where you want to go, setting goals for the test scores that you'll need to apply, the grades that you need to get while you're here, going on college tours, and making sure you apply for scholarships? That time it may have been new to you, but after a while, this is something you've heard time and time again. Not only from your guidance counselor, but probably every teacher you've had along the way. You already know. This is what they do when they talk about college prep. But did they teach you about the career that you wanted to pursue? Something more specific, something to get your career plans set more in motion. You don't see yourself sitting in that classroom anymore. When you were sitting there daydreaming, you know what you were thinking about? You were thinking about yourself sitting at the nurse's station at your local hospital, saving lives using the art and science of what nurses do. Go ahead and schedule your one-on-one discovery call today.
You're listening to an episode of Listen Up Future Nurse Podcast. Scan the QR code if you're watching, or click the link in the podcast show notes to get your virtual remote. Make sure to tune in and subscribe on Spreaker and follow us on all of your favorite podcast locations. And watch us live online on all of your favorite social media sites. Do you have ideas about who would be a great guest on this show, or perhaps you have a topic that you want discussed? Let us know. Send me an email at info@NursingInspired.com or text at 773-609-0649.
All right, so we are back again, and so I wanted to recap a bit. So far, we have talked about a lot. So we've looked at, if you're looking at between, on-campus school versus online, public versus private, PWI versus HBCU. We've looked at the nursing shortage and some of the reasons why, with retirees, burnout, and then the nursing education pipeline really being one of the greatest contributors. Qualified nursing applications being turned away, and students being on waiting lists sometimes for 1 to 2 years when it comes to getting into a nursing program. And then we have looked at other things such as examples of nursing programs and colleges that have closed, especially in your given state. So I shared my state of Illinois here, and a couple of examples just that have closed just within the last few months. But then we looked at two specific terms, accreditation and approval, and looking at the difference between accreditation for the college or university versus the accreditation for the nursing program, being program-specific accreditation. And then we looked at the two different types of accreditation, one being the CCNE, which is the Commission on Collegiate Nursing Education, and then ACEN or ACEN, which is the Accreditation Commission for Education in Nursing. And then looking at the purposes of each of those and how to check in different areas, that you could look at. So that's looking at the nursing school's website, if that's going for a visit with the counselor there, if that's going to the specific website for ACEN or CCNE. Those are the things that we looked at. And part of the reasons why we want to do some of those things is, again, because we not, of course, only want to make sure that our program is approved so that we can make sure that there's not taking our money and falsifying here and taking and wasting our time. But essentially, this school at least needs to make sure, at bare minimum, with approval, that you can pass the NCLEX exam. And that is the exam for you to actually become a nurse. You have to graduate your nursing program and then also take the licensure exam so that you can actually become a nurse. So that's at the minimum. But of course, if you're also looking at other things such as the rigor of that education program, certain academic standards and quality and resources and curriculum and all of that type of stuff, then that's where accreditation comes in. But with that, actually, what I didn't get to mention earlier is that some employers will actually, you'll see in job posts, will actually say, and this is not only for actual employment, but this is for nurse residency programs sometimes as well, that you'll see, which is things that you can do, or nurse externships. They'll put in the description for that, must have attended an accredited school. So that's the other thing. So you really want to pay attention. So it's not only for that, for employment, but it's also in the case, in the unfortunate case, really, if your program closes down before you start or in the middle of your program, and even after you graduate, you really want to look at that, piece, because really for the people who are about to start or are in a nursing program, that accreditation piece makes a difference, especially looking at depending on if it's regional versus if it's national. So if it's regional, there's a greater likelihood that it will, but if it's national, then it's a likelihood that it won't. And so with that, I actually wanted to shout out to Dr. Sandra Bailey Curtis, who actually kind of talked a little bit more about that on my television special, Pre-Nursing in Color. So that is actually something that you all can tune in and watch on my Nursing Inspired website, and listen all about that. And so that was a great program that kind of honed in specifically on that. But with all of this, again, we really want to make sure further that we are looking at the State Board of Nursing for their approval, and then also further looking at not only the recent NCLEX pass rate, but the trends, overall over the years, if you can find that data on your specific State Board of Nursing website. So those are those things. But we want to look at, stability of colleges and nursing programs. So we know about these things now with accreditation and approval, right? But some of the other things are looking at the graduation rate, the acceptance rate. Those are some other things that you want to consider. Of course, you want to look at the financial piece and how much the nursing programs cost, and especially if you're looking at things like public versus private. So for instance, private nursing programs a lot of times will cost more and a lot more. Public universities and colleges typically cost less. However, if you are looking at public, even if you are going to a public university that has a nursing program, if it's out of state, it's still going to cost more money versus for those that are in state. So the least expensive option for those of you that are looking at nursing programs really is going to be going to a college or university that is in state, that's also public. So that's one thing. But with that, you have to look at then the competition as well, because again, we talked about about 50,000 plus qualified applicants last year were turned away from nursing programs. But you're, not only looking at, the public versus private, the, HBCU versus PWI, the in-state versus out-of-state. You also really want to look at, when you're talking about nursing programs, your selection strategy of how many nursing programs that you're selecting. So with your nursing school selection strategy, you really want to make sure that you have a good variety. So we didn't go into the specifics of this. We saw them on the drop-down menus for the ASIN website and the CCNE website, and that was things like practical nursing. So for you and your specific state, it may either be called licensed practical nurse or LPN, or it might be called licensed vocational nurse, which is a LVN. Either way, that's on the same playing field as far as scope of practice goes. So LPN is one way to enter into nursing. And then now you're looking at other things such as diploma nursing programs, which don't exist as much. And there's been a small resurgence in some states and cities where it's kind of a more hospital-based type education. Some have even been tied to associate programs or community colleges rather. But there's diploma nursing that you can achieve, go through. And they take a different and BSN and MSN entry-level students than the LPN. So that's why you have the difference of the NCLEX PN versus the NCLEX RN. So you got LPNs, that's one with the NCLEX PN. Then you have NCLEX RN that's taken by people who graduate from a diploma program, from an associate degree program or ADN, from a Bachelor of Science or BSN program, from a accelerated Bachelor of Science Nursing or ABSN program, and then for those who actually do a direct entry master's program into nursing. All of those take the same NCLEX exam. So with all of this, we want to, again, make sure we're looking at the NCLEX pass rates, but what is the acceptance rates of these programs? Are they letting everybody in? There's enough to be said about that. That's another topic. How many students are actually being retained? What's the retention rate look like? Because it doesn't matter if you're accepting everybody in if half the students aren't staying. What about how many students are graduating? And then how many students, of course, are passing the NCLEX? So all of this stuff really makes a difference on, the type of program you want to look at. Also, I want to go back to this ROI thing, return on investment. Some of the students, when we're looking at the private universities, maybe, I'm not going to talk about how hard or easy it is to get into a private school, but what I will say is that because of what they, offer or believe that they offer, they charge a lot more. So I have heard of and come across programs costing $90,000, over $100,000 for a nursing program. You don't make that much working as a nurse. And the challenge is that, yeah, you can graduate and you can slowly pay that back. You can get a, nursing loan forgiveness. You can get scholarships. You can have a great financial plan to kind of pay for most or half or some of that cost. But the challenge is, what if life be life, right? What if that program, what if life hits you, you get ill, there's an accident, you lose your job. I don't know, anything happens and you don't finish that program, you're still on the hook for that $90,000 plus dollars, right? Not only that, what if on the other end of things, it wasn't you, but it was them? It's me, not you, right? They closed down and you've already taken out that loan, or you have maxed out all of your financial aid because of other decisions that have been made in your collegiate experience. Now you still have to pay that money back once again. So ROI is really important when it comes to, what you're deciding on. So looking at how much the school is going to cost. But again, I really want to stress your nursing school selection strategy. Please don't just pick one or two schools and pick the school because that's where you took your prereqs, or because your sister, cousin, friend went there, somebody in a Facebook group that said that's a good school and all of that. You have to look at the black and white and the gray. So I do want to get into that. But before I get into that, I just want to say, with your nursing school selection strategy, make sure that you have a variety of schools that you're eligible for. So that's LPN all the way to BSN for most people, or even ABSN. And then the number. On average, I recommend for my students, when I'm coaching them, and just on all different platforms that I've talked about it in the past over the years, on average, I'll say if you can apply to about 7 nursing programs. That way, that can give you the better guarantee of getting into a program within that coming year. And really, if you can, make sure that you're applying a year in advance. So that way you have time as you are applying. If one, responds back and said you didn't get in, and they actually let you know the reason why, maybe it was because of a pass rate for the ATITs, or because of the HESI scores, or your recommendation, or whatever that thing is, you got time to work on that and fix that. But if you're applying in the spring and you're trying to get in the fall, there's no turnaround time. There's no extra classes you can take in time necessarily to boost your GPA, or all of the things that you can do to kind of do things better for yourself. So now, I want to get ready, because we need to roll out and end this thing. So we talked about the NCLEX accreditation and approval and stuff, and then looking at graduation rates, retention rates, how much the school costs, having a good variety of programs that you're applying to, and the number of schools that you're applying to. But besides that, so that's all the black and white, I'll say, most of, because you can see this in a information session. You can, go to the website, and you can go to your State Board of Nursing website, the ASIN website, CCNE website. But of course, you want to do, besides the black and white, you want to look at the gray area stuff. So you want to do things like, talking to current students that are in that program. So if they have a pre-nursing club, or a HOSA, or if they have a program that is for pre-nursing students, for instance, association chapter, visit if you can, talk to them, see what's going on at that program. Talk to alumni. You can do that through, friends and family. You can do that through, folks that you work with. You can do that through LinkedIn, which is definitely a good thing to do for your professional development in any way as you are preparing to apply to, get into this profession. But besides that, other things are looking at news reports and things, kind of like looking at the news tab of Google, if you will, to kind of see what they've been, what they've had going on, not only in the news externally, but maybe on the school's website as well. What are their bragging rights? What do they have going on? So those are some other ways that you can kind of find out about the school's history and all of those type of things. but it really, really is important, because the last thing we want to do is take all of this time and research to do all these prerequisites and, switch jobs and change up jobs, move across the country, quit relationships. Some people quit quit their relationships to go to nursing schools. I'm telling you, it's a whole thing. To go through all of this to get into a nursing program, and it's either about to start or you're in it and it closes down. So we definitely don't want to take our time, our money, our financial aid, all the things, and we didn't do our due diligence and we didn't know better. So I always like to make sure that folks, that you have heard it from me, you have heard it from the Black pre-nursing coach, Fallon Flowers at Nursing Inspired. Not all the things, but some of the major things that you can consider when you're looking at not only college selection, but nursing school or nursing program selection as well. So this has been an awesome time. I'm so thankful for all of you that are here, who are just tuning in, who have been here the whole time. And so I want to end. And so thank you all so much. You can catch the replay if you didn't hear all of this or see all of this on YouTube. And then for my listeners through Spreaker, the Nursing Inspired website, Audible, and iHeartRadio, and all the places that you're listening. Give me a little bit to download this live episode so that I can put it on there for you all to listen for the podcast. And then anybody who is a student, I want to say that if you are listening to this, you can actually text the word nurse, NURSE, to 773-609-0649 for a discount for any coaching that I do, any courses that I have, and then also any downloadable worksheets. I really want to actually talk about the downloadable worksheet that I have that actually tracks where you look at all the different nursing programs that you're applying to, and not only some of the things we talked about in today's episode, but some other things you may or may not have thought of as well when it comes to selecting a nursing program, because I always like to make sure that I work with students and you are prepared, organized, and inspired. So there's that worksheet that you can use to help you out to be organized and prepared really for your journey as you're applying to nursing programs. I also have a worksheet on my school where you can keep track of all of the scholarships that you're going to need to apply to because some of these schools are expensive, and finances is a big part, because the last thing you want to do is get into a nursing program and you can't afford the rest of the way. I've seen students have to sit out a semester, sit out a year, and they can't graduate with their cohort because they couldn't afford the rest of the way. So you want to track your scholarships. And then I also have a worksheet that you can download on my online school that tracks the prerequisites that you're taking as well. And you can keep track of the grades and the different things that, are related to that. And so I have those on my website. So I just wanted to share that before I go. So again, thank you, listeners. Thank you, viewers. Thank you to everybody that shared. I will see y'all the next time. Hey, my fellow nurses, nurse practitioners, and future nurses. Were you checking out this winning red scrub top I'm wearing in today's episode? Want to know where I got it? From Figs. And guess what? Students, you can get your own with a sweet 15% off discount using my referral link. Just head to the Figs website with my referral link in today's show notes and find your own winning red and complete the final steps at checkout. Don't miss out on this. At checkout, students, you can click on Students and Military, save 15%, verify with ID Me to unlock your savings and get your scrubs. This winning red is a limited edition color that made its limited reappearance as we celebrate Team USA during this 2024 Olympics. Nurses and fellow healthcare professionals, you can receive 20% off your first order of $100+ with my referral link too. Fig scrubs are top-notch quality and super stylish. Trust me, you won't forget it. Nursing Inspired family and visitors, did you know that this podcast has a supporters club? By becoming a supporter of the show for just $7 a month, you can play an active role in helping me to continue producing the content that you love. You can also consider making a one-time donation of $5, $10, $15, $20, $25, $30, $35, $40, you know the rest, to support everything that I'm doing with Nursing Inspired, such as giveaways to the youth and students when I'm exhibiting and vendoring at different events. And then you can find the links in the show note for the one-time donation or to join the supporters club. But what I really love doing besides this podcast and being out in the community with the youth at things such as health fairs, back to school events, community events with, aldermen and congresspersons that are holding things for youth and back to school. And so if any of you have any of those type of events coming up in your neighborhood or community or with your community organization, please feel free to reach out. You can go to the contact portion of my Nursing Inspired website for that, and you can also request me as a speaker as well. But I want to thank you all again for your support and join the Supporters Club today.
All right, it's a wrap. Make sure to watch us live, listen to your favorite podcast locations, leave us a review, or if you'd like to reach out to support this podcast, reach out to me as a speaker, or sign up for coaching, please use your virtual remote. You can give us a review on your favorite place to listen or watch this podcast, such as Google, Yelp, or Trustpilot, and you can reach those from the virtual remote as well by scanning the QR code on the screen or by visiting bit.ly/FutureNursePodcast. Love what we're doing and want to create live streams like this? You can access the sign-up referral link in the show notes for StreamYard. If you'd like to be organized like the virtual remote, consider making one for your next event or as a link in bio with Societap. Please support this Black female-owned company and get yours today.